Alrighty.
All right. Well, happy Wednesday, everybody. Thank you so much for joining our February advocacy call today. We appreciate you taking up your lunch hour as always, and we hope you're having a great week so far. Today, we're going to be talking a little bit about advocacy through technology and social media. And I'm honored and very grateful to have Matthew Walzer presenting for us today. And we're going to do a really cool presentation and going to have a great conversation about advocacy using these specific resources with technology and social media. The way of the world today, you pretty much do everything and anything through technology and social media. And so that's where our world's going towards more and more every day. And so to have people like Matthew who can give us a little bit more insight and what he's done using those. It's pretty awesome. So we appreciate that. I'm going to do a brief introduction and then we'll get started. Um, just a little bit of housekeeping items. Please, if you're, I mean, you should be fine as far as being muted. But please, let's make sure we give Matthew our attention. We don't get on and or unmute by accident and have our background noise affecting Matthew. We appreciate you all being here. We will have time, plenty of time for questions and conversation throughout this presentation. So if you do have any questions you would like to hold on to, you can type it in the chat. But we will make time where we can unmute and we can talk and have conversation. So Matthew, he is a disability advocate, inspirational speaker, and digital marketing professional living with cerebral palsy. At age 16, Matthew wrote an open letter to Nike known as the hashtag Nike letter, which sparked a collab that led to the creation of the Nike FlyEase shoe. This shoe was an accessible footwear line empowering people with disabilities worldwide. A former Florida Sand fellow, Matthew he was a part of the Florida Sand organization and Florida Gulf Coast University graduate. Matthew advocates for accessibility across education, technology, and public policy using storytelling to drive inclusion. So, Matthew, I'm going to let you take it away. If you need any help, you'd let me know as far as like your PowerPoint, like sharing it or anything like that. Other than that, I'm here for you. Let me know, and we appreciate you very much for being here.
Thanks, Dustin. Hey, everybody. Dustin, can everybody hear me okay?
You hear you great.
Awesome. All right, so I am going to share my screen. Give me 1 second here. Okay. Okay, Dustin, can you share my PowerPoint?
Is it not letting you?
It's not letting me share, no.
Try.
'Cause
Hold on.
you're still the host, it looks like.
Yeah, so
Okay,
you should
hold
be
on a
good
second.
now.
Sec here.
If not, I can. It's not a big
I
deal.
got it. Give me 1 second.
Sweet.
All right, everybody. So today we are going to be talking about advocacy through technology and social media. As Dustin said, my name is, oh, I just stopped sharing. It gave you the post back.
Okay, go ahead. Yeah, sorry about that.
Okay.
Well, if you see people hopping in the waiting room, just hit admit all. Then, if you see that at the top on the chat room,
I see admit for Mickey Brown. I don't see a button for admit all.
yeah, no, because there's only one person in. I'm just saying throughout
Okay,
this, since you're the host,
got it.
you just admit people into the meeting. That way, they don't
Got it.
miss out.
Okay. We're
I
gonna
wish
get
there
this.
was I wish there was
We're
a way
gonna
to
get
have
this, everybody.
multiple hosts, but
We didn't have a this isn't the Grammys. We didn't have a technical rehearsal.
no, yeah,
All
we're good. We're fine. Don't worry
right.
about that.
Okay. So let me share again.
Just share it
One
again.
second.
I was just saying, yeah, if you hit the top,
There you
there'll
go.
be a button that says as people come in, you can just click
Yeah.
admit all, and it's the easiest way. That way, it's
Okay.
so. All right, here we go.
Cool. You guys can see the slides?
Yep.
Okay. All right. So today we are going to be talking about advocacy through technology and social media. My name is Matthew Walzer. I live in Jacksonville, Florida. I have cerebral palsy. I am 30 years old. I work in digital marketing, and I have been a friend of the ARC, if you will, for a number of years now. Love Dustin and Dina and Summer and all that they do. All of us here in the state of Florida and beyond. And I appreciate them letting me come on here today and talk to you guys a little bit about my story for those that aren't familiar. Um, but this is going to be less about my story and more about how advice on how you can leverage social media and the power of uh, the internet in a positive way to advocate not only for yourself but others in your community and beyond. So let me touch a little bit on my story. Um, so I have cerebral palsy. I was born 2 months premature, October 19th of 95. Spent the first 4 months of my life in the NICU, and fortunate enough to overcome a lot of different challenges that cerebral palsy threw my way, um, through physical therapy, surgeries, courage, perseverance, support system through family and friends, and just an overall belief that no matter what life threw at me, I'd be able to overcome it. I wasn't supposed to be here, and I am fortunate. Let's just say that I am, and believe that everything happens for a reason. So you see this picture here. Here's this guy. This is a few years ago. It's me standing with boxes of shoes. You're like, well, what is this? So the one thing that my CP that I couldn't overcome was not being able to tie my shoes. I have full dexterity in my left hand. I'm trying to move my camera. My webcam's on top of my monitor, so bear with me if it looks a little funny. But my left hand has full dexterity, and my right hand is pretty weak. And so I kept my right hand actually in a ball up in a fist till I was about, I don't know, I think 3 years old. And so shoe tying was always, it was impossible. And a goal of mine, my life goal at the time when I was going through middle school and high school, was to go away to the college of my choice without having to worry about um, someone being there to tie my shoes for me. Because my parents, every day, I mastered every other part of getting dressed except putting my own shoes on. And I've always been huge into sneakers. And I decided to write a letter to Nike asking them for accessible footwear. And this is in 2012. So this is pre TikTok. This is pre Instagram Reels. This is pre, like, when video was kind of the nowadays, like, video, short form video is the kind of viral form of choice, if you will. I feel like video and images. Back then, it was called kind of like the blog slash Twitter era before things change over with Twitter. Well, I wrote the letter, and which I can put links in the chat when I'm through here. We can take a look at everything. Um, I wrote the letter, posted online on a blog that I had, and shared that on my social media just to get my friends' opinions on it. Wasn't really expecting much out of it, but I wanted nonetheless to share it with whoever I could, obviously including Nike themselves. And some friends started posting the link to the letter on Twitter, and we came up with the hashtag Nike letter. And it just started to gain more and more traction, really, really organically. My goal at the time was to get Nike to read the letter. And I didn't just write it just for myself. I wrote it because I knew that there were so many other people out there with varying types of disabilities and physical challenges that can't tie their shoes for one reason or another. And at the time, there wasn't a product on the market like this. And so the letter goes viral, slowly, more and more viral. And it got to an inflection point where within 3 days of the letter went going viral, the letter went viral on it was August 7th of 2012. And by August 10th, I received a phone call from Nike. Um, and I guess you could say the rest is a little bit of history, and that history is kind of encapsulated in this picture. Um, and as Dustin said, FlyEase now the newer models are called Nike Easy On. It's been a line of accessible footwear for over a decade now, which is incredible to think about. Gives me chills up my spine when I say that. Um, but the point is, and I think the reason why I'm here today talking to you guys is it really comes down to finding your voice, um, and crafting the right message and choosing the right platform, and making sure that the the need that the issue that you're looking at, um, how I think the most important thing to think about from an advocacy standpoint is how if I go and ask for this, how can I not only benefit myself, but those in my community around me with whatever the issue is. So let me go ahead to the next slide here. So crafting the message. Um, this is um, this is probably one of the most important pieces is um, crafting the message, whether that's through video, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram Reels. Um, I feel it feels funny to think that I didn't go that this didn't happen for me in the modern era of like TikTok and Instagram, and how different things might have gotten and how bigger things might have been with how much faster social media travels today than it did um, almost 15 years ago. But crafting the right message in the sense of, I think, you have to look at, you don't want to sound like you're uh, complaining about something rather than uh, sharing an issue and letting the person on the other end or the party on the other end know why it's important that something be done about it, and benefits the benefits at large that can come from it. Um, and if you give me a second here, I think we have time for this. I want to just pull up my letter really quick. I appreciate your patience, guys. I'm doing this a little bit on the fly. I recently started a new job, so I'm kind of wearing a lot of hats right now. But I'm happy to come and
You're doing
share
just
some.
fine, Matthew, and we have plenty of time
Yeah,
to go over the
that's what I'm
letter
thinking.
as well.
So
But no, we appreciate you. We understand. I asked Matthew about this a while back, and then he recently got a new job. So he's been a busy guy, but we definitely appreciate him taking the time out of his lunch hour today. But to be able to see your letter, and I mean something that was so successful with advocating to Nike to help us or for us to see how you crafted that message, I think it would help many people who don't really have an idea of how to do that or where to get started. So I think going over your letter a little bit would be a great idea for an example.
if I can find it, give me a sec. Yeah, I think I remember the old URL. Does anyone have any questions in the meantime that they want to throw in the chat?
Yeah, any questions so far in the chat? I will say, just as always, we will send out resources from this meeting and a link to our YouTube page where you'll find this whole recorded meeting so we can go back and you can see the letter when Matthew goes over it and you can see the presentation as well. And we'll send out certificates of attendance as well.
All right,
We
I
have a
got.
lot of meetings, so I will catch up. I know I have a lot of certificates going on, so be patient. I will get to our certificates. I have it all on a list, and I'm getting to each of you who, as long as you send me a request by email, you're on a list for me to get you a certificate. So I appreciate your patience, and
All
we're
right,
going to go over
we
this
got.
letter with Matthew.
We got. Okay. So, uh, I wrote this. This got posted on this blog, August 7th of 2012. And thank you, Google, for not shutting down all the old Blogspot blogs, and this still lives on the internet. So I wrote this letter to Mark Parker, who was the CEO of Nike at the time. And once I share it with you guys, you'll kind of see what I mean by that's the right message. Uh, Dear Mr. Parker, my name is Matthew Walzer. I'm a high school student. I will be a junior at Stoneman Douglas High School in Parkland, Florida. I was born 2 months premature on October 19th, 1995. I weighed only 2 pounds, 14 ounces, because my legs were fully not developed. My brain did not receive enough oxygen. As a result, I have a brain injury that caused me to have cerebral palsy. So, you know, granted, I did this when I was 16, so I would have wrote it a little bit differently now. But I'm introducing myself. I'm right off the bat. This is who I am. But despite all of this, I've overcome many challenges in my life. Although doctors from the country's top hospitals told my parents I would never walk, and if I ever talked, I would have a lisp, these diagnoses proved to be false. I walk somewhat independently around my home and use crutches when I'm out. So I'm introducing myself. I'm trying to give the individual on the other end a full picture of who I am. Um, and I go into here and say, out of all the challenges I've overcome in my life, there's one that I'm still trying to master, tying my shoes. Cerebral palsy stiffens the muscles in the body. As a result, I have flexibility in only one of my hands, which makes it impossible for me to tie my shoes. My dream is to go to the college of my choice without having to worry about someone coming to tie my shoes every day. I've worn Nike basketball shoes all my life. I can only wear this type of shoe because I need ankle support to walk. Uh, so I'm letting him know like what my problem is, uh, and how the shoes have helped me to a point. But this is now I'm kind of getting into what I want to see. This is the change that I want to see. So Nike makes slip-on sandals and other types of shoes. However, I and many other physically challenged people are unable to wear them due to a lack of support. When I think of Nike, I think of one of America's most innovative, forward-thinking companies. Nike's always pushing the limits, making shoes lighter, faster, and stronger by using new materials, new designs, and new technologies. This benefits people all over the world. Um, Bill Bowerman, who was Nike's co-founder, said it best: "If you have a body, you're an athlete." So that, to me, as a physically disabled person, resonated with me that it doesn't matter how I move or what my body can do. Um, I, 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 like anyone else, can call myself an athlete no matter what my level of physical ability may be. Um, and I believe everyone, no matter what their physical, economic, or social circumstance may be, deserves to call themselves an athlete and deserves to have a sense of freedom and independence. So I'm saying, if this is Nike's motto, if you have a body or an athlete, then I agree with that. Um, and I also feel that everyone deserves to have a sense of independence. So, I'm not in this sense, I'm not criticizing this. I'm saying that I think this is a beautiful statement, and this is how, you know, we can further that. Uh, and this is my ask: if Nike would design and produce basketball and running shoes with moderate support and some kind of closure system that can be used by everyone, Nike could create a shoe line that attracts people that face the same physical challenges I did and still do. I still get choked up reading this. Yet it could still be possible for anyone to wear them. So this is my ask. This is kind of like, hey, this would be something that would be a great product, great change that no one else has done yet. And I think if you kind of read above this, I'm kind of like stacking all the chips on the table and saying, this is who I am. This is the challenges that myself and so many other people face. And this is, what I would like to see happen. Um, and, in this letter, I said at the end, I said, this letter is not a business proposal. I'm simply making you aware that there is a need for this type of athletic shoe, a great need, that there's such a need out there. And I think that's the thing that such an important point is, um, you know, instead of coming across and saying like, hey, like if you're writing your uh, legislature about, let's say, a transportation issue, you want better, more accessible transportation where you live. Um, you want the routes changed. You want, uh, more accessible vehicles. Uh, in the sense of like crafting the message, instead of saying like, "Hey, why hasn't this been done?" What's wrong with you guys? Um, you'd want to kind of craft it and say, "Hey, I appreciate that you guys have offered this service, but this is how we, as the individuals that you're serving, feel that it can be improved." Um, I think showing some grace and humanity that, above all else, and I've had a kind of a phrase that I like to use is like, you're just asking, it doesn't hurt, it never hurts to ask. And people, when they can see that you're approaching an issue diplomatically, uh, rather than with a sense of frustration. You can be frustrated over an issue. I was certainly frustrated that I can't tie my shoes every day. Uh, but you want to be as diplomatic and open to conversation as you can. And in this sense, this was an issue that, large part wasn't, Nike was told me they were working on certain things kind of in this space within the accessible time design before this came along. But when I spoke at Advocacy Days in October, one of the things that I said was, if you can't get a seat at the table, don't be afraid to bring the table and build the seat. Build the seat, bring the seat and build the table. And I think that when you talking about, advocating for something through the power of social media, whether it's video or a tweet or a blog post like this, um, it's you want to your first thing you do. I think one of the most powerful things that we've seen come out of social media advocacy is just striking up dialogue about an issue. Um, for weeks and days and even years after, when these shoes finally came out in 2015, there was countless, blog posts and articles and things written. And aside from, having shoes, um, it was great to see conversation around inclusive design and disability inclusion, that a population that was so overlooked as being kind of you know looked at now. And so I think, when in the sense of, how can we advocate better for one another, I think it's about also like just striking up and starting that conversation, and wanting to have dialogue. It's okay to bring emotion and passion into something, And it's okay to feel frustrated. Um, and sometimes in certain situations, um, you want to also let the person know on the other hand how a certain issue is affecting you negatively. And you don't want to shy away from that. Um, and I think that, but just crafting that message and going about it the right way is really important. Dustin, anything you want to add to that?
Well, I was just going to say one of the first things you pointed out is always big for me. When we are crafting our message and advocating, one of the first things I learned is, you know, usually it's to a legislator, but maybe it's to an organization like Nike, maybe it's to a company, maybe it's to, whoever you're advocating to or advocating for. Like Matthew said, it is important to try to make sure that we're not acting as if we're just complaining about things and we don't just come advocating with problems, but we present an issue, and a lot of times it's if you can. I mean, sometimes you can't, but if you can present some solutions with that issue and try to be helpful and not just complain and advocate in a way where you're just begging for help, but rather you are advocating in a way where you are presenting an issue and then presenting solutions on how that issue can be fixed. I find that's the most successful way to advocate, and you're setting yourself up for so much success. And people want to give you time to really understand what you're advocating for. Usually, when people come up, they hear people complain all the time, and so when you start off complaining, they might kind of shut down and not really listen to what you're saying. But if you, like Matthew said, if you come where you're presenting an issue and maybe you have solutions for that issue, they're really going to have their ears open and really listen to your voice. So that's something I would add and kind of
Yeah,
emphasize.
definitely. I agree. When you bring an issue to the table as well as potential solutions or where you're looking to see, I think that's when you can get the most out of it. Going back to you guys see what can you guys see the slides right now or what do you see?
It's Google right now, so I think you just need to switch to your page to your PowerPoint.
I'm used to Google Meet more than Zoom, so forgive me. Hang
No,
on.
you're okay. You just if you click on the
There we go.
share, yeah, there
I
you
got
go.
you.
Yep, you got it.
So now we're going to talk about picking the right platform. And for this one, there's no right or wrong. Um, for me, when I wrote that letter, obviously, like I just shared, I wrote it on a blog I had when I was in high school. I wanted to be a sports writer. And so I started a little sports blog um, and would write about Florida Marlins games and just kind of just as something to do. I really enjoy writing and journalism. I don't have as much time for it now, but that was one of my passions growing up. And like I said, I had a dream of being a sports writer. And I kind of used that. I said, hey, I have this blog, and there's nothing more powerful than the internet, right? So here's something where instead of copying and pasting or emailing a Word doc of the letter to everybody I knew, let me just put it in one central place where everybody could read it. And little did I know the impact that would have. Um, and then from there, it was the social media spread. And Twitter was different than and now it's called X, but Twitter was different in 2012 than it is now. It was a much more a good place for things of positivity and issues to kind of go viral and do their own thing. Uh, and so it was a really cool moment for me to kind of see how viral this thing got in a good way. Um, so when I talk about picking the right platform now, um, you know, 2026 versus 2012, there's so many more tools and mediums at everybody's disposal. Um, you could talk about video with a YouTube channel or Instagram video or TikTok. Um, the question I have for you guys, has anybody in the audience uh, done any advocacy work, uh, even at a grassroots local level? And used social media primarily as like the tool or the medium to get their message out there. Does anyone have any of their own personal experience?
It kind of broke up a little bit, but I know I heard what you said. So he was asking if anybody wants to unmute or type in the chat. Any time where you've advocated or advocated a message uh, to somebody, to an organization, legislator, whoever, and you've used social media in a way to craft that message. And Matthew, you can. It was a little bit fuzzy, but
Yeah, I mean, yeah, just any kind of experience you've had and you guys have had. I mean, obviously, my story is its own entity, if you will. But anyone have any personal experience, whether it's even just writing a letter, or sending an email or a phone call, or YouTube or TikTok, any type, just anything with um, leveraging technology through advocacy. Um,
if
okay,
anybody
go ahead.
is anybody, well, I was just gonna say I want to give a few minutes to see if anybody, or a few, at least a minute or two, to see if
Sure.
anybody has anything, and if not, I was gonna add something.
Sure.
Is anybody feel free to share? Don't be shy. I'm sure
Yeah,
some
you
of us
guys can
have.
share anything or any questions or comments or anything. You guys are quiet.
I mean, I'm sure many of us these days have used some kind of social media for advocacy.
Or even just a Facebook post expressing your frustration about an issue, something, anything.
I mean, I know there's so many. Well, besides what I was gonna say about the Arc of Florida, there are so many. Um, not or so many advocacy organizations that we partner with or that we kind of associate with or that we attend their meetings or things like that and some of them got started with social media like I don't know if maybe some of you on this call have heard of it. I think Matthew has definitely heard about We the People. They started on Facebook and they're growing and they started just on a social media platform, started a group. So that's just one example. I mean, there's many others. But here at the Arc of Florida, we send out so many social media campaigns, and we do so many social media campaigns, and we get a lot of response from our advocacy. Most of it is social media. Obviously, we do our physical advocacy, but Dina, our COO, she runs all of our marketing and all of our advertising and things like that in our website and runs our social media and I mean she has a whole system where it's just like it's like a schedule where she posts different things for social media and she has things lined up for a social media campaign and so we use Facebook, we use Instagram, we use LinkedIn, I think we use some. It used to be called Twitter. Now it's called X. So we use a variety of social media platforms where we're sending out our legislative platforms, our advocacy throughout the year, different campaigns that we use social media for a lot of things. So just I know that we've been able to help others, and we've got a lot of things done and resources from using social media. So Mercedes says I haven't personally advocated using social media, but it helps me be more aware of issues with what others share. So just like we're talking about with organizations like us and We the People and things that Matthew's involved in, groups like Florida Sand, they all use social media to get advocacy and resources out to to the world too, to our population, to our families, our providers, friends and family of clients who may or not have, or to who may have intellectual or developmental disabilities. So Mercedes says because of social media, she's able to hear about the issues that are going on with our population. So that's awesome.
Yeah, definitely. And there's no right or wrong. You know, but I think above all, this is a good conversation of like, um, you know, reminder of, hey, it's a tool. Yeah, you can keep up with issues that are going on, but don't be afraid to leverage that and start conversation around certain things. Um, and let me go back to my presentation here. So we talked about um, talking about picking the right platform, and there's no right or wrong. You can if you feel that your message comes across better over video, then absolutely, don't be afraid to pick up your phone, um, and make a selfie video or put it on a tripod or whatever, and just talk about whatever issues you have going on. But like we said, don't be afraid to come with solutions if you have any. And some issues you're not going to have solutions right away, but you just kind of need to get your thoughts out there and see if anyone else is going through the same thing. When I wrote the letter and it went online, the response that I got from parents of of kids with disabilities and people with disabilities that were my age at the time, older than me, a little younger, like the overwhelming response of, hey, I struggle with the same issue too. Thank you for speaking up. And so it really was the power of not only my letter, but like multiple, I don't know, multiple is an understatement, but the hundreds of thousands of people that kind of chimed in and said, no, like an issue that we're glad that you're speaking up about. So it can just be even just you using your voice to get something out and say, hey, this is an issue that I know is not only affecting me, but it's affecting so many other people. And then from there, you kind of build on that effort. Okay, what can be done about it? Who can we bring this to go and see change? Um, so picking the right platform, like I said, there's no really real right or wrong. It's about where you think your message would be most effective and where you feel your voice would be most effective. And then it's about finding your voice, which kind of I feel like kind of encapsulates everything that we talked about so far. Um, I've always been, before I wrote the letter and it went out there, I've been working on it. Sorry, I mean to X out of this. I've been working on it for probably a year off and on. Like it was an idea that I had. I didn't know what it would look like, right? I didn't know what I really wanted to say. How is a 15 or 16-year-old kid, because I started thinking of doing it when I was probably around 15. What do you say to the largest shoe company in the world? Um, and you're you, right? You're a kid. You're not a superstar athlete. You're a kid with a disability. Um, and but it was something that I always thought about doing. And one night, it was, gosh, I remember all these dates. It was like August 4th, 2012. I'm sitting up in bed one night and I'm on my phone and all what I wanted to say, kind of, for at least the first draft, kind of just came to me. And I crafted the first draft of it on my notes app on my phone, on my iPhone, and posted screenshots of it to social media just to like make the people aware. I mean, granted, the people that were following me on Instagram were just kids I went to school with, but like, hey, I'm doing this, right? And but I was really confident in what I had and what I wanted to do. And so for me, like it was this where I truly found my voice. And I think what I mean by finding your voice is not just like finding the right tone or the right message for your advocacy, but just finding your voice as an advocate, and just being confident in who you are as a person. Um, I think goes a long way for all of us because the world looks at us differently, right? If someone doesn't live what we live or know someone that experiences what we experience, or we get the questions of, well, can you do this or what's wrong with you? And so I think advocacy, no matter what what it is and how we get there helps us find our voice as a person and can help us put us on a trajectory in life of where we want to be. And that's what my advocacy journey really truly started the day I wrote this letter. I was always passionate about disability advocacy beforehand, but this opened up a lot of doors for me in saying, okay, like the shoes are an issue, right? But what's next? And so yeah, I've spoke up about things on different levels than this. Um and um have been trying to always kind of maintain that fire, if you will. But what this has done is kind of given me my voice and kind of let me be fearless in the advocacy space and say, hey, like there's no issue that's too big or too small to speak on, right? But it's just a matter of the other bullet points that we went over, right? It's like, okay, if I'm going to speak on this, what do I want to say? How do I want to say it? Um, you know, is there other individuals and groups that will get behind me with this? Even if there's not initially that I could think of, I'm still going to probably talk about it anyway. And just making sure that my voice is heard. So I think, you know, I hope that you guys have taken something out of this so far, and if there's one thing I want you guys to take from this, um, is that, and I think this is so true in the world we live in with social media, that there are a lot of people out there that just like to um, post on social media for the sake of posting on social media. Um, and in the disability space, there's a difference between advocacy and awareness, right? Um, I can make you uh, aware of an issue or aware that I have something going on, but do I want to just make someone aware, or do I want to advocate for change? And I think that's kind of like an inflection point of, okay, if I want to make someone aware of an issue, not only do I want to do that, but how do I want to make um, those around me that are experiencing the same issue not have to deal with the same things that I'm dealing with. So that's something, especially in today's world of social media, where there's likes for likes and there's likes for meaning. And so that's something that I want you guys to take away from this. Um, do we have like 15 minutes left? Um, let's like open it up for questions. Any comments? Anything you guys have?
Well,
Anything at all?
that was a great point you made to end it out, Matt. And we do have about 15 minutes. Please don't be shy. Type in the chat, unmute. Please, if you have any questions, any comments about our presentation today, we appreciate you being here.
You guys are quiet.
No questions? No questions, anybody? Matthew just covered it all so great. We don't have anybody to question it, huh? Well, we do hope. I mean, we know it was. Yeah, Matthew, Patricia said you did a great job, and you did. We really appreciate giving us your insight and sharing your personal story, because social media and technology are great, but without your storytelling and without the story to drive those tools, it's not really much use. So Matthew, we definitely appreciate you sharing that your personal story. Again, we have plenty of time for questions. I'll just say, our world, like we talked about earlier, is every day coming up with different kinds of technology, different ways of technology. Like Matthew said, if he would have done his Nike letter in today's world, he would have been it probably would have taken a few days before, like, I mean, who knows, it would have been done so much faster, it would have blown up a lot more. I mean, he still made a great impact in the shoes where the line was created. So I mean, but I mean, man, the fact that you even got it done during those times compared to now,
Yeah.
I mean, you're right. It could have been so much faster. It
And
could have blown up even more.
one thing, a couple of things I'll add to that is, it's yes, the shoes are out and they've been out, and it's great to see that grow, and what Nike has done with it. Um, but one thing I will say is that I just lost my train of thought. Um, this, my story, my personal journey. We do have one question. I'll get to that in a second. Um, yeah, that's a good question. Um, my personal story, I feel like, um is not over, is far from over as far as like my advocacy. I don't have any like immediate big plans at the moment, but like I said, with defining my voice, like that kind of lit my fire to kind of get behind certain issues, or get behind issues in general that affect people with disabilities. And so, um, I think I'm fortunate enough that my story of my life, like, and I feel like so many of us are overlooked and cast aside. And I was on so many levels. Um, I got denied from preschool because the teachers were afraid my walker wasn't going to fit in the classroom. And you're always going to be cast aside. And I think what this did for me is kind of like I said, it gave me a seat at the table of life, of like, no, like I'm here, like, I mean something. We as people with disabilities mean something to society. And so, I'm 30, but I can't wait to see what, the next 60 years bring. And I'm not saying I'm saying what I'm capable of and what other people with disabilities in the advocacy space are capable of. Because you see what's going on in the world right now. There's a lot of different things, and it's very important that we take care of each other, and speak up for one another, and you know, fight for ourselves with certain things, because it's very important that we stay connected as a community. And I want to finish with that thought, but to get to Jorge's question of what advice can you provide to someone who tends to be the quiet one but wants to advocate for others? Yeah, that's a good question. I think that it kind of goes back to finding your voice, right? Like I I was growing up, I was kind of quiet, confident. I still am quiet, confident with certain things. I'm not some giant, outspoken, loud, obnoxious guy. That's just not me. Some people, some people think I should be, but I'm just not. And so I think you just need to just, like I said, okay, like you want to advocate for other people, right? But it becomes okay. What issues do I want to advocate about? Okay, um, and I have to share that advocacy with someone. I have to bring that advocacy need to some a person, organization. If I want to advocate for a friend, what's the friend struggling with, and where do we go from here? Like find all the things that we talked about. What's my message? How do I craft it? Even if it's just writing a letter or making a phone call. And just if it helps to write something down, write down what you want to say, um, or if you are, or wigged out from public speaking like I was for so many years, believe it or not. Like now, this comes so naturally for me. Um, I put 5 bullet points on these slides, not even bullet points, just little headlines, and I knew seeing them everything I wanted to cover. But 10 years ago, I needed an entire speech on a podium. Um, and so yeah, it takes time to kind of break out of that shell a little bit, but know what you want to say. And if you feel more comfortable that, hey, if I'm more quiet and shy and I can get my point across better, written than verbally, and I need to send an email or an Instagram post or letter, then that's how I'm going to craft my message. But there's always there's more than one way to skin a cat, as they say. And I think that, there's nothing wrong with, being the quiet one. Like I said, wasn't this loud, outspoken guy. And so it's just about kind of finding what works best for you in the end. I hope that answers your question.
Well, that was a great question, Jorge, and that was a great answer, Matt. Thank you so much. I'm the same way. I mean, honestly, um, I have kind of like a preaching background kind of or whatever. So anyways, but I had to go through like I did speech classes, speaking classes, whatever. And same thing. I used to need like a whole script. But as as time, you get confidence as time goes on and you keep working at it. Like Matthew said, now I can see a few points and kind of discuss things without having a whole script. And so um, it's something you work at. You can gain confidence, even if you're quiet. But I think to add to it, us talking about social media and technology, that could kind of help the quiet people. You don't have to go out in public if you're going to use social media to like blog a post or advocate for something. Like you don't have to go get dressed and go somewhere if you're, a quiet kind of more of an introvert type person. And there's nothing wrong with that. So technology kind of helps those who are more introverted and more quiet. In my opinion, I think it's a good tool.
Absolutely.
We still have a few minutes for any other questions. If not, we'll close this out. You'll save a little bit of time of your lunch hour. We'll give it back to you. We appreciate you all hopping in. We do again. We'll send out certificates of attendance if you just email me by request later on, probably tomorrow morning. We have a board meeting today, and we have Capitol. We're going to the Capitol tomorrow with our ARC legislative days. So we'll be busy this week. So I think maybe tomorrow or Friday morning we'll send out all the resources and information from this meeting. So we appreciate you all. Matthew, we appreciate you again. Everybody saying thank you in the chat. Matthew, this was
Thank you
great.
guys
We
for having
appreciate
me.
you taking the time and hope everything's going well with your new job. And you and I will definitely stay in touch.
Absolutely. Thank you guys so much. Thanks everybody that joined us today, and look forward to talking to you guys again soon.
Absolutely. Y'all have a great day. Enjoy the rest of your Wednesday. Thank you all.
Thanks.